As Muslims refer to this as the arrival of Mahdi, claiming him to be the savior of mankind.
Predicted the coming of one man, and his name will be Muhammad ibn Abdullah, and he will be called by the people the rightly guided, which is the Mahdi. The world will be the Mahdi will be alive when the Dajjal comes towards the end of times. Because the hadith begins with what? If there's only one day left, Allah will make it longer, which means the Mahdi will come towards the end of times. Al-Mahdi min itrati min waladi Fatima. The Mahdi is from my family, from the children of Fatima. How many children did Fatima have in terms of sons? 2, Hassan and Hussein. So the Mahdi will be from Hassan and Hussein. Which of these two? There's nothing authentic from the Prophet ﷺ, but Abu Dawood said, through an isnad that he takes to Ali radiallahu anh, that Ali radiallahu anh looked to his son Hassan and he said, this son of mine Hassan is a leader, because the Prophet ﷺ called him a leader, and from his children shall come a person whose name will be the name of your Prophet, and he will resemble your Prophet in mannerisms but not in manner. He will resemble the akhlaq but not the physical face of the Prophet ﷺ. Ali radiallahu anh is saying something will happen, and in one night the Mahdi will become a righteous person. And this gives hope to all of it. The term Mahdi is found in another hadith, also in Abu Dawood and Muslim Imam Ahmad, we learned that the Mahdi shall rule for 7 years. In the authentic hadith it says he shall rule for 7 years. So we have a time frame as well, that the Mahdi will be powerful. The Mahdi will not be alive, because he's going to be alive for many years, but he will rule for 7 years. So he will establish his authority, his dominion, and he will rule for 7 years. We also
history will end with a clash between those who are faithful to the truth and those who betray the truth. That Jerusalem is at the heart of the end of history. That the clash between those who are faithful to the truth and those who betray the truth, that clash is based on Jerusalem. It is Jerusalem which defines that clash. Allah. And then the Islamic state, the holy state of Israel, of David and Solomon, will now be restored in the Holy Land.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Just to follow on from my previous videos, this shows Imam al-Mahdi with the assistance of Bani Ishaq, with the black banners from the east. After conquering Constantinople, the Khilafah will now be firmly settled in the Holy Land from Jerusalem. Imam al-Mahdi will rule for 7 years. A khilafah which has never been in the history of Islam. Not the Umayyads, not the Abbasids, none. Islam will be ruled as an ummah from Jerusalem, from all the continents. Alhamdulillah, especially in the Muslim lands. Now the question is, what will happen, or what has happened to these particular people? We need to know what's happened to them. Because these people were ruling this part of the world. Where have they gone after the Malhama? Where have these people gone now, at that time of Imam al-Mahdi in Jerusalem?
Now rule the world from Jerusalem with a rule which will be eternal. And the religion of Abraham, the true religion of Abraham, would rule the world from the Holy Land. What Prophet Muhammad brought, Allah's blessings be upon him.
So, until the Imam is ruling, what will happen in his years starting with the 5th year? The 5th, the 6th, and the 7th. This is to be investigated. But where have these following people gone at the time of Imam al-Mahdi, when Israel will now no longer exist as a nation? Where have the Jews gone? They will have dispersed, run away, gone, left the Holy Land in fear. So what will they be waiting for? This is what they will be waiting for. So these people now have dispersed. The diaspora again. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown a mercy to them again with the advent of Imam al-Mahdi. Now they will be confused. So what will they be doing?
איך נדע שהמשיח הגיע?
כן, זה כתוב שאלוהי יבוא 3 ימים קודם.
Right, this Jew is very intelligent. What did he say? 3 years. 1, 2, 3. 3 years.
כתוב שאלוהי יבוא 3 ימים קודם. שאלוהי יבוא 3 ימים. שאלוהי יבוא 3 ימים קודם.
While the Mahdi is leading the struggle, how long that war of Armageddon will take, Allah knows best. But during that period of time, and perhaps prior to it, there will be a global drought developing. The first year of that global drought, Allah will withhold rain from 1/3 of the earth. Allah will withhold rain from 1/3 of the earth. In the second year following it, He will withhold it from 2/3 of the earth. And of course, you can imagine, as soon as rain is withheld, we start to have droughts. This is a serious drought where people start to starve and all of these other things start to happen. Although, in that time, due to technology, maybe starvation will not appear as it appears right now. So we can't really say exactly. But we do know that the second year. And the third year, in the third year, then rain will stop completely. There will be no rain anywhere on the face of the earth. So these are...
כן, זה כתוב שאלוהי יבוא 3 ימים קודם.
Alhamdulillah. So, this Jew is saying 3 years there will be a sign of the Messiah, the Dajjal, their awaited Messiah. Sheikh Bilal Phillips just said, 3 years Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will withhold the rain. So withholding the rain from all over the earth will cause poverty and hunger. Dajjal will come to restore that for the weak of Iman or disbelievers. But the question now is, what will happen to this particular place? What will happen? By the 3rd year, the river Jordan is obviously, like all rivers, fed by rainwater, by rain. So what will happen to this particular place?
In our best days, the Sea of Galilee used to be just by the edge of the grass that you see here. It's like a bank. If you don't put money in the bank and you're just taking out your money all the time, you go bankruptcy. We don't want to go bankruptcy. We want to have a nice lake like as the old days.
So, what will happen is the Sea of Galilee will dry up. Anything that is left there, the remnants, the Ya'juj wa Ma'juj armies, will drink up. And they will say, oh, once there used to be water here. Of course they will know. They will know just like we will know. So, these are the signs of Dajjal, those 3 years. Then he will emerge. So where will the Jews be and what will be going on in Europe at the time of Imam al-Mahdi when he is ruling from Jerusalem? The Khilafah is now established after the Malhama al-Kubra.
Visiting Rome, love and hates of Rome, shocks of Rome, don'ts of Rome. We have all that. But this is more kind of like the technical things you should know before you come to Rome. Okay, first things first, when you're buying your...
Imam al-Mahdi will now obviously defeat Catholicism, that Christianity once and for all. They are, after all, the ones that will be fighting or were fighting in the Malhama al-Kubra. So Rome will have to be taken. And of course, the Alhambra, the biggest masjid at the time of the Khilafah in Andalusia, that will obviously be taken as well, but much, much more. And of course, Paris, who was the most eager of the Christians before and at the time of the Malhama to fight the Muslims. Paris will be taken. And of course, this nation and this city will be at the mercy of Imam al-Mahdi. The most hybrid haters of Islam were these nations: Paris, London, going back to history of Islam, and of course the final one too.
Lakes and rivers stretching from the Arctic to the tropics between the shores of two great oceans.
So this is the Americas, which will be a whole continent in itself, which now will be vulnerable.
In the 20th century, 155 million people will make their...
So it'll be so vulnerable, it will not be able to import or export. It will now bow down and pay homage to the one superpower of Imam al-Mahdi. They will be at the mercy of Islam. And many people in South America, especially North America, will become Muslims. It seems to be the case. That is what will most likely happen. But the Jews by now will be scattered all over, waiting for the time, waiting for the moment, still believing their Messiah is due to come to help them again. That is what will happen.
3 years before the Antichrist comes, there'll be a famine, there'll be a drought, they'll be hungry like never before. They'll be tired like never before. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, 3 years before the Antichrist comes, 1/3 of his rain will stop, 1/3 of his produce will stop. Then the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, 2 years before the Antichrist comes, 2/3 of his rain will stop, 2/3 of his produce will stop. Then the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, 1 year before the Antichrist comes, there'll be no rain, there'll be no produce, there'll be nothing. At that time a caller will call out and he will say that the Antichrist has come, the Antichrist has come out.
שהמשיח הגיע.
כן, זה כתוב שאלוהי הנביא יבוא 3 ימים קודם.
ונשמע את זה בכל העולם.
כן.
זה סימן.
כן, כמו שהיה במצרים.
מה, איך נדע?
שגיע בכל שופר.
בכל שופר? מה, ואז כל ראש השנה הוא מגיע? לא הבנתי.
לא, כל שופר שישמע בכל העולם.
שישמע השופר בכל העולם? זה הסימן? ואיך נדע?
So, now the Jews will prepare for the moment. This is the structure that these people will then destroy to build their temple in commemoration of Sulaiman alayhi salam, because now they will be confident they have seen and heard the news. The destruction of Baitul Maqdis will herald the next destruction of Medina when the sun rises in the west. So the signs will come one after the other, like beads falling off a string.
People ask, well, where's Mashiach? Where's Mashiach? We're all waiting for Mashiach. And people make all types of conjecture. Mashiach is going to come here, and Mashiach is going to come now. But one thing it says in a dozen places, says that 3 things come in total surprise when least expected. 1 is Mashiach. 2 is a Matzia, something you find. And the 3rd thing the Gemara says that a person finds when least expected, and for people that travel in the desert, they know this, it's a scorpion.
He's come out of nowhere and we don't know who he is.
What do we know about him?
He's leading desperate people.
So this is a cult?
We don't know who he's associated with. He could be creating an army. Or he could be leading them to their death.
My father. And where's your father?
We've lost it.
What do you mean?
He just disappears.
No one just disappears.
We all witnessed a miracle.
He saved my daughter's life.
You need to see this.
Bury it for as long as you can. He didn't just click his heels and end up here. He clearly had help. You get around Syria, Israel, Texas.
It's the nature of my work.
And what is that work?
God's work.
Who do you think he is?
You didn't see what I saw.
And if I did, would I be calling him the second coming?
How far will this new movement spread?
I'm going to find out everything about you.
Bigger than what you can imagine.
Such a fitna that the whole world will come to know of him. Such a fitna that he has not come out in the history of Islam. 3 years before the Antichrist comes, there'll be a famine, there'll be a drought, they'll be hungry like never before, they'll be tired like never before. The Messenger sallallahu.
So, What will happen then is, after the Malhama al-Kubra, the Jews will run away. They will be hibernating, hiding, waiting for their time. They will be nowhere to be seen. The Khilafah will be established in Baytul Maqdis, and Imam al-Mahdi will rule the Ummah from there as the one single leader who will control the world and give it justice. Then, 3 years before the coming of the Dajjal, we know what will happen. So the question here then is, after the Dajjal appears, the Baytul Maqdis will be destroyed by the Jews because they will now see their false Messiah and build or attempt to build the temple. This is what will happen. So the main thing is, the Sea of Galilee cannot dry up until those 3 years have come to pass.
Wasallam said, 3 years before the Antichrist comes, 1/3 of his reign will stop, 1/3 of his produce will stop. Then the Messenger ﷺ said, 2 years before the Antichrist comes, 2/3 of his reign will stop, 2/3 of his produce will stop. Then the Messenger ﷺ said, 1 year before the Antichrist comes, there'll be no rain, there'll be no produce, there'll be nothing. At that time, a caller will call out and he will say that the Antichrist has come, the Antichrist has come out.
So please do not fall for this falsehood or this misunderstanding by the scholars or so-called scholars of Islam.
Galilee, yes, and we will know that because the water in the Sea of Galilee would have dried up. That is the time when these events are now going to take place. The advent of Imam al-Mahdi, Dajjal appearing in a day which is like our day, so we'll see him as a Jew, etc., and the Son of Mary coming down. I can say that I expect the Sea of Galilee to dry up in about 50 years. Because it is when the water in the Sea of Galilee dries up that the Son of Mary will come back down. Go and read your Sahih Muslim. It is at that time, and go and notice the water level in the Sea of Galilee now. It is lower than it has ever been before.
Now this is the real stupidity, saying 50 years, or I think, or saying something along the lines of Isa alayhi salam descending. The drying up of the Sea of Galilee has got nothing to do with the descent of Isa alayhi salam. And the drying up of the Galilee has got everything to do with the Dajjal emerging the 3 years before. That is clear in the Hadith. So there's some people or so-called scholars that have it back to front. They are saying the Sea of Galilee is basically drying up now, which it isn't. And that proves that Imam al-Mahdi will emerge. Absolute nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So please do not be fooled by these so-called scholars.
Peace of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is now moving to center stage. If I say 50 years and if I say I can be wrong, at least I'm giving you a wake-up call. A wake-up call that you're living in the age of the countdown. So don't be fighting each other over chicken feed.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.